Hey everyone, I am Chuck Mayer. With me is Andrew Smith. We are with Fishy Business and we are going to set up the Biocube today. You saw in the overview video, our first video in the series, just a quick overview of all the products that we would be using. We're going to go over that really quick and we're going to put together a Biocube for you. So let's do a quick review of what we talked about in the first video. These are the 5 essential things that you're going to need to set up the Biocube. The first of which is your live seawater. This is water from the ocean that has been cleaned, and this is what we're going to use for our water source in the tank. This is your biological live active sand, and that's what we're going to use for the base. We have live rock that's in a dormant phase right now. It will come alive when we put all of this stuff together, and this will form the skeletal structure of our tank. We also have a hydrometer, which is the most important part starting off because we've got to get the salinity right. In smaller aquariums, salinity tends to move a good bit, so it's always good to check with your hydrometer at least once a week with your salinity. Dr. Tim's is what we're going to use for the biological kickstart. Okay, once you've found the perfect place for your new Biocube in your home or office, get it situated on the wall. The first thing I'm going to tell you is get ready with your live sand. The first step, however, is to put a mat or towel down. Our friends at Cobalt have kindly given us this one, and we love these for its absorption value. So where we like to begin is with the live sand. So Andrew is holding the Nature's Ocean sand. We are going to open the top and put the sand in first. This is just to kind of set the base so that when we start adding our rock, the rock has a foothold and it's not going to slide across the glass or anything like this. It's also a good way to kind of get things started and leveled off. So you'll see he's going to do this in just 1 second. Getting it all exactly level, or as level as you can. This is a 16-pound bag. And now for a few pieces of rock. I like to start with the largest, or my base pieces when I put them in. I try to get them situated on the sand. And this is where I stop. I don't put all the rock in right now for the obvious reasons that it could fall down. What I like to do is put a bag in to catch the impact of the water. As we start to fill it with water, we usually put in about 5 gallons to start with. That way, anything that's going to move around, shifting with the rocks and stuff, we're doing it, but we're not creating a full-scale avalanche. Now, we have only used a 4-piece box of rock. I like to decorate the whole back of the aquarium personally, but for this design, we're just going to do a very, very simple structure. And as you can see, the bag is catching the impact of the water, so it's not getting as silty as it possibly could. The other nice thing about using the bag is it can conform around corners and things like that. There are, of course, other things that you can use. So we get the bottom set, kind of like so. I don't really know where this design is going, but we're going to continue. Next, the other 2 pieces are kind of fixated in there. But the nice thing about having this rock and all the different designs is that if you don't like it particularly, you can always change it up. And as you can see right here, I'm going to change it up a little bit. So a couple more well-spaced rock designs and we'll kind of see how this holds. I've created a lot of different ledges for corals to go on, and it's at this point where I feel fairly sure that the bottom is tight and will hold the rest of the impact of the water. We'll finish filling it up with the other jugs. Now, if you're as lucky as I am, you might have some help doing this, in which case you don't have to pull the bag back out. I've got Andrew, and Andrew, cupping his hands, is working perfectly to check the impact of the water. Plus, I'm not having to pour it and worry about it running off a bowl or a bag. However, if you're by yourself, the bag and bowl method works perfect. And after a couple well-placed jugs of water and a couple more small adjustments to the rock, as you can see, the rock work hasn't moved very much at all, and that is because we did a half dry stack and then went on ahead and put some water in there to move the sand about. So hopefully the whole conformity of everything that's inside the Biocube fits together nicely. And even though it's a little murky right now, you'll see soon enough that it clears up and we're where we should be. Let me also add that you can't use epoxy to hold the rock work together. I don't, because I find myself liking to make changes now and again. However, epoxy's great if you are really happy with the structure and you want to keep it together. Okay, so we've got the inside of the Biocube established for the visual part. Now we need to deal with the filtration part. What you see here is the Biocube filter. Andrew's got right in his hands.
This is the cartridge. This is exactly what you're gonna see when you open up the package. A little bit of floss and a little bit of loose carbon on the inside for you. It's gonna go in this back center chamber. And we're just gonna set her down right there. And that's where she's gonna live.
Then we'll get the Biocube running so we can clear up some of the cloudiness we've created in the building of it.
And to get the filter running, we're just gonna have to plug in our return pump. And it's actually pretty easy. There's only gonna be 2 plugs, one for your light, one for your return pump. And you'll see that we have nice little ripples up there. So we are running and filtering our tank. So one of the most important things is knowing what the salinity is in a saltwater aquarium. One way that we can do that is with our hydrometer. And if you'll notice, it has a little channel over here, and we're slowly just gonna let it fill up so that we don't get any micro bubbles, because those bubbles, this works on buoyancy, and those bubbles will give us a false reading. And we're gonna take it, put it somewhere level, and we're gonna see where that needle goes. And that I'm getting 1.025. Excellent.
Okay, so last but not least of our 5 products is the Dr. Tim's, which we're going to put in our live bacteria. Now, I don't recommend that you use this if you don't have an ammonia source. Typically, when we set up a Biocube, and a point that I'll get to in the next video, is the addition of some type of fish that you can get started with. We typically like to use damselfish, clownfish, which are damselfish. That's typically what we'll start a Biocube with. And then you can put in your Dr. Tim's, and that will get everything going for you so that you can cycle your tank. What we find with this is that because of the live sand, because of the live rock, because everything being put together in one fashion, Biocubes tend to cycle very, very fast. Some people have even said that they don't even experience a cycle. Obviously there is one, but it is super fast. So you can get started on your coral reef instantly. Okay, real quick, we want to talk about some products that are not necessarily necessary, but that you can use. So you're obviously going to have your filter, which sits in this chamber right here. Now, this is the chamber that slides down the back of the Biocube, but you've got several other chambers that you can add extra things, and we over-filter whenever possible. Now, denitrifying biopellets are one of my #1. I would not use them in the beginning setup of the tank because you haven't got any nitrates yet. You don't even have nitrites. And these biopellets will actually help to lower your nitrates on an ongoing fish tank. So this is one thing, and we can talk about that some more. ChemiPure, which is one of the best forms of carbon that we have. There's a lot of different discussions on using carbon in a reef tank, but to clarify your tank and to use it whenever necessary when you need to polish it, nothing's better than one of these ChemiPure blues for that. In addition to the ChemiPure blue, polyfilters are a fantastic extractant to use as well. Now, this is a square white pad. You can cut in half to fit in the chamber and get multiple uses out of it. And you have Biomatrix. You don't necessarily have to use Matrix, but it would give you an additional biological supply.
Hey guys, one of the last things that we definitely want to put into our Biocube is a heater. It's something that we can use just to maintain temperature in our tank. There's 2 places that we can put it. It could be in the main display or the far right chamber, as those are never going to have lower levels in them. Regardless of what heater or where we put it, a thermometer is key so that we can make sure that we are maintaining a consistent temperature, which is more important. Biocubes tend to run a little warm between the heat and the return pump and the light. So just making sure your thermometer is staying steady is the most important thing.
Okay, that wraps up an introduction to setting up your Biocube. Now, the one thing we haven't talked about is lighting. So what I'm going to have is a video with Andrew coming up next, and he will go through the process of setting up your lights, programming them, and basically getting your tank ready to host the corals and fish that will go in. That will be the follow-up video. I'm going to go through fish, corals, and animals that will be perfect for your Biocube, and we'll wrap things up there. So stay tuned. This is Chuck Mayer with Fishy Business. We'll see you next video.